You've been feeling it, haven't you? That hollow ache that settles in after you close the app. That 3-hour scroll session that leaves you more empty than you started. That peculiar shame that creeps in when you realize the sun moved across the sky and you didn't create a single thing. You consumed content about someone else's dream, someone else's success, someone else's life, and you're wondering why yours still feels stuck in the same place it was 6 months ago. Let me tell you something that's going to change everything. You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. This message has been waiting for you, and your soul knew you needed to hear it right now, in this exact moment, before you waste one more day feeding a habit that's slowly killing your potential. The universe has been sending you signals, and you've been ignoring them. That restlessness after hours of watching other people build, that frustration when you see someone half as talented getting 10 times the results, that anger at yourself for knowing better but doing it anyway. Those aren't signs that something's wrong with you. They're signs that something powerful is trying to break through, and you keep drowning it in content, in distraction, in the endless feed that promises entertainment but delivers emptiness. Think about the last week alone. How many hours did you spend consuming versus creating? How many videos did you watch about success while taking zero action toward your own? How many podcasts about productivity did you listen to while accomplishing nothing productive yourself? You've been treating information like it's the same as transformation. It's not. Knowledge without action is just entertainment with a superiority complex. Here's what most people miss about this trap. They think consumption is preparation. They think watching one more tutorial, reading one more book, taking one more course will be the thing that finally makes them ready. But ready for what? You've been ready. You've been ready since the first time that idea sparked in your mind, and you felt that electric possibility run through your body. Everything since then has been fear wearing a disguise called research. Your ego loves consumption because consumption is safe. Consumption keeps you in control. You can watch 1,000 people fail from the safety of your screen and tell yourself you're learning from their mistakes. You can study success without risking rejection. You can analyze creativity without exposing your own work to judgment. It's the perfect prison because it feels productive while keeping you completely stuck. But your soul, that deeper part of you that knows why you're actually here, it's suffocating. It didn't incarnate into this dense physical world just to watch other people live. It came here to create something that only you can create, to express something that only you can express, to build something that will outlive your body and ripple forward in ways you can't even imagine yet. And every hour you spend consuming instead of creating, you're breaking a sacred contract. Not with me, not with society, with yourself. With the version of you that exists in potential, waiting for you to finally stop researching and start building. Stop learning and start doing. Stop preparing and start creating. Let me show you what's really happening in your brain when you consume. Every scroll, every swipe, every click, it triggers a small dopamine release. Your brain gets a tiny reward for doing essentially nothing. And like any drug, you need more and more to feel the same effect. One video becomes 10. 10 becomes an hour becomes 3. And at the end of it, you've trained your brain that reward comes from passive consumption, not active creation. But here's the thing about creation. The first time you make something, anything, a paragraph, a sketch, a video, a song, even if it's terrible, even if no one sees it, your brain receives a completely different signal. A signal that says, I built something that didn't exist before. I transformed energy from my mind into form in the world. That hits different than any content you could ever consume. That's the signal your system is craving. That's what the restlessness is about. Your soul isn't asking for more information. It's begging for expression. It's not saying, learn more. It's screaming, create more. And you keep misinterpreting the message, going back to the feed, back to the content, back to watching other people do what you're supposed to be doing. You know what the original sin really was? It wasn't eating from the tree of knowledge. That's the surface story. The deeper truth is that Adam and Eve traded direct experience for conceptual knowledge. They traded being in the garden for knowing about the garden. They traded creation for consumption. And humanity has been stuck in that pattern ever since. Every religious and spiritual tradition points to the same truth. You are made in the image of the Creator, not the consumer, the Creator. That's not metaphor, that's not poetry, that's literal instruction about your fundamental nature. You are a creative force that has been tricked into thinking you're an audience. Think about the people you actually admire, the ones whose work touches you, inspires you, makes you feel something real. Did they get there by consuming more content than everyone else? Or did they get there by creating when everyone else was consuming? They felt the same fear you feel. They had the same doubts. The only difference is they created anyway. And here's what nobody tells you about the transition from consumption to creation. The first stuff you make will probably be bad. Not probably, definitely. It will be bad because you're comparing your beginning to someone else's middle or end. You're comparing your day 1 to their day 1000. And your ego will use that gap to pull you right back into consumption. See, you're not ready. You need to learn more first. That's the trap talking. That's fear wearing a clever disguise. The only way to get good at creating is to create bad things first. There's no shortcut. There's no amount of content consumption that will let you skip that stage. You have to be willing to make garbage before you can make gold. And most people aren't willing to do that because being bad at something feels worse than doing nothing at all. But doing nothing isn't neutral. Doing nothing is regression. Every day you don't create, you're not staying the same, you're moving backward. Your creative muscles are atrophying. Your courage is shrinking. Your window of possibility is slowly closing. Not because you're getting older, but because you're training yourself into the identity of someone who watches rather than someone who builds. God, the universe, source, whatever word works for you, it's not asking you to consume more information about how to live. It's asking you to create the life you were born to live. And creation doesn't happen in your head. It doesn't happen in your research. It happens in your hands, in your voice, in your movement, in the messy, imperfect action of bringing something new into existence. You want to know why you feel so drained after hours of scrolling? Because consumption is extraction. It takes your time, your attention, your energy, your life force, and converts it into engagement metrics for someone else's dream. You're not resting when you scroll. You're being harvested. Your attention is the most valuable resource in the modern economy, and you're giving it away for free while wondering why you feel so empty. Creation is the opposite. Creation is generative, even when it's hard, even when it's frustrating, even when you're making something you'll throw away tomorrow. You're building something inside yourself that no one can take. You're developing skills. You're training courage. You're becoming someone who doesn't need permission, doesn't need perfect conditions, doesn't need to feel inspired. You're becoming someone who creates because that's who they are, not because they feel like it. Let me tell you what happens when you finally make the shift. When you spend a day creating instead of consuming, you go to bed different. You feel tired, but it's a different kind of tired. It's the tired of someone who built something, not the tired of someone who watched other people build. You sleep deeper, you dream different, and you wake up with momentum instead of regret. The ideas start coming faster. Your mind stops being a storage unit for other people's content and becomes a generator for your own. You start seeing possibilities everywhere because you're finally paying attention to what wants to come through you instead of what's coming through your screen. Your confidence shifts because it's no longer based on how much you know, it's based on what you've done. And here's the part that changes everything. People start responding. Not to your knowledge, not to your research, to your creation. Someone sees what you made and it unlocks something in them. Someone reads what you wrote and feels less alone. Someone experiences what you built and thinks, if they can do it, maybe I can too. You become a permission slip for other people's creativity just by having the courage to create your own. That's what you're actually here for. Not to be the most knowledgeable person in the room, not to have consumed every piece of content on your topic. You're here to create something that only you can create, because only you have your exact combination of experiences, perspectives, scars, and gifts. No amount of consumption will reveal that. Only creation will. But creation requires something consumption doesn't. Faith. Faith that what you make matters, even if no one sees it. Faith that your voice deserves to be heard, even if it shakes. Faith that your perspective is valuable, even if it's not fully formed yet. Faith that the universe didn't make a mistake when it planted that creative urge inside you. Your ego can't give you that faith, because your ego is terrified of judgment, of failure, of being seen as anything less than perfect. So it keeps you consuming, keeps you preparing, keeps you safe. But your soul knows that safety is the most dangerous thing you can choose. Safety is slow death. Safety is the prison you build yourself out of fear and call wisdom. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not an artist. I'm not creative like that. Stop. That's not true. That's just a story you've been telling yourself to justify staying comfortable. Creativity isn't about art. Creativity is about bringing something into existence that wasn't there before. A business is creative. A relationship is creative. The way you organize your life is creative. The conversations you have are creative. You're already creating. You're just creating unconsciously, by default, from old patterns. What I'm talking about is conscious creation, intentional creation. Creation that reflects who you actually are, instead of who you were trained to be. You want to know what's confirmed? What the universe has already decided about your life? It's decided that you don't get to waste this incarnation consuming. You don't get to arrive at the end of your life with your gifts still locked inside you, with your message unspoken, with your creation unmade. The call has already gone out. You're not waiting to be chosen. You've already been chosen. The only question is whether you'll accept. Every piece of content you consume is a choice, and every moment you spend creating is a choice. The first choice keeps you comfortable, entertained, and ultimately empty. The second choice is harder, scarier, and the only thing that will ever make you feel alive. So here's what you do right now. Right after this video ends, don't scroll, don't look for the next thing to consume. Create something, anything. Write one paragraph, make one sketch, record one voice note, film one clip. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be finished. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to exist. Because the moment you create instead of consume, you break the pattern. You send a signal to your brain, to your soul, to the universe that you're ready for a different life. You stop being the audience and become the artist. You stop being the consumer and become the creator. And everything starts to shift. The opportunities that come won't make sense yet. The ideas that drop in will feel too big, too wild, too impossible. Create them anyway. The people who show up won't be who you expected. Welcome them anyway. The path forward won't be clear. Walk it anyway. You've consumed enough. You know enough. You've prepared enough. The only thing left is to create. And the universe is waiting to see what you'll do with the time you have left. Not what you'll learn, not what you'll watch, what you'll create. This is your moment. This is your message. This is your permission slip, if you still think you need one. But you don't need permission. You never did. You just needed to remember that you're not here to watch. You're here to build. So turn off the feed, close the tab, put down the phone, and create something that proves you were here. Create something that matters to you, even if it matters to no one else. Create something that scares you a little. Create something that makes you feel alive. Because you've consumed enough, and God, the universe, your soul, whatever you want to call it, wants you to start creating. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready. Now. You are ready. You've always been ready. The only thing standing between you and the life you're meant to live is the choice to create instead of consume. Make that choice right now and watch everything change.